Now we'll deal with inequality intervals. A question that you might be asked on an assignment is, on what intervals is f(x) less than 0? This is a fancy way of them asking you to find where y is less than 0. It may be difficult to tell this at first glance, though. So anytime they ask you about an inequality interval like this, we first want to answer the question, at what points does y equal 0? Again, notice that fx really just means the same as y. So we'll look at our graph, and we'll locate the places where y is 0. We'll put an orange line through the places where y is 0. Remember that y equals 0 is a horizontal line. We'll place that on the graph where y is 0. You may notice that the graph crosses through that orange line 3 times. We'll mark those points in red. The first place where it crosses is at x equals 4. It crosses again halfway between 0 and -2. The number that's halfway between 0 and -2 is -1. And it crosses again halfway between 2 and 4. So we take the number that is in between 2 and 4, that's 3, another halfway number. Therefore, if we're asked where fx equals 0, we'll say -4, -1, and 3. Now that we have those points, we can use them to find the intervals where fx is less than 0. Just as before, we'll draw a number line and mark those intersection points down on the number line. Then, on the number line, we're going to use those points to split our graph into regions. So I'll start by drawing a number line, and we'll mark -4, -1, and 3 on that line. We'll also place -infinity and +infinity on the left and right. Therefore, everything between -infinity and -4 we will call region A. We'll mark that on the graph as well. Everything between -4 and -1 we'll mark as region B, and we'll mark that on the graph too. Everything between -1 and +3 we'll call region C. And then everything from 3 to infinity on the right side we'll call region D. The question we are trying to ask for each region is the graph below 0 or above 0? If the graph is below the 0, that means that would be less. By the same token, anytime your graph is above the 0, that would mean greater. You may notice that the condition we are trying to reach for this question is we're looking only for the less. So when you do these questions, always check your condition and make sure you're looking for the regions that are only less, if that's what the directions say. We'll also make note of the fact that this is strictly less, and that means that our circles are going to be open when we answer. So let's look at our picture and see which regions are below the 0, and that's going to tell us which regions are less. Let's look at region A, which I'm shading in green now. Notice that this part of the line is definitely below the orange line. That means that we'll say in region A, the graph is less than 0. And that does match our condition that we're trying to hit, so region A will be part of the answer. If we go on to region B, which I'm going to shade in green now, we can see that's above that orange line. Since that's above, that means that the graph is greater than 0. However, greater was not what we wanted. We wanted less, and region B will not be part of our answer. Then we move to region C, which I'm going to shade in green now. We can see that region C is below that orange line, and if we are below the orange line, that means we are less. That is the condition we wanted. We'll check that off and say region C will be part of our answer. Then if we move on to region D on the right, which I'm shading, we can see that that part of the line is above the 0. Since that's above, that is greater, but that's not the condition that we wanted, so region D is not part of the answer. Therefore, we have 2 pieces which are part of our solution and 2 pieces that aren't. Our solution set will be A union C. If we want to write that in proper interval notation, we'll say that region A goes from -infinity to -4, and we'll say union -1 to 3. Also note that since we wanted our regions to be open, we will be using parentheses on -4 and -1, and 3 as well. And this is how we solve an inequality interval.